should have audio, but I just want to double check. Just a double checker, you know.
Yep. You want me to check?
Yeah. Well, I'll get rolling.
Yep.
Yo. Welcome back to the Out the Box Show. I'm John Wallace alongside my co-host, James Luffy. I almost said Rory. He's not here this week. He will be back next week. He had a vacation. He had a long semester, finally graduated law school, has his kid on the way, all kind of good stuff going on in Rory's life. And we decided, you know what, we're going to give you a week off, Rory. We're going to let you go decompress, maybe catch some sunshine and margaritas out. I don't know what beach he went to, but Rory, long awaited and deserved vacation. We got a lot to talk about on this week's episode. We're going to kind of cram it in, though. We just got baseball this week. We're getting to summer, dog days of summer. All we're going to talk about is baseball, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, you know what I would have another way is the way this series went this past weekend at the Box. But we're going to get to that. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm declaring it. It's summertime. It's officially summertime. I got in my truck. It was 99 degrees on the thermometer at like 6 p.m. when I was leaving work. So it's officially summertime, and summertime is my favorite time of year, and in my opinion is the best time of year. And in the same way that summer is the best time of year and that it's my favorite season of the year, Blaine is my favorite realtor of the year and forever. And Blaine wants you to know that he wants to be your friend, your neighbor, and your agent. Summer's the time, man. People make moves. It's not cold. You don't want to move all your stuff when it's cold. It'll, if you have a glass vase, it might crack. You don't want to do all that. You want to move during the summertime, and Blaine wants your business. Make sure to call or text Blaine at 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. Also, huge shout out to the Boot Crew Media Network. The Boot Crew Media Network is all over the place. I saw the guys at Boot Crew are out at Fenway, and they took a picture of an ad of DraftKings, which is also a great sponsor. We'll get to that read in a little bit. But all that to say, summertime is a great time to follow the Boot Crew Media Network. Tons of content, lots of golf content, right? Twitter's rolling, Instagram's rolling, bootcrewmedia.com's rolling. There's content for hours. I'll tell you what. Next week I'm gonna be doing. We'll get to it, but next week I'm gonna be doing a little sitting on my butt. I'm taking a little leave of absence from work, and guess what I'm gonna be doing the whole time? Surfing bootcrewmedia.com. There's that much entertainment, whether you want it in the written word, the spoken word. I don't know if there's any other. I don't know the other mediums. I didn't take that class in college, but bootcrewmedia.com and on social media at bootcrewmedia. All right, Luffy. I think it is kind of good, given the way LSU baseball has kind of performed this year. LSU baseball is a good team when they play good. I know that sounds stupid to say, but I think it's good that we record later in the week, especially after a disappointing weekend. It gives us time to kind of let our blood pressure settle, let things kind of come into perspective. But I don't think anyone imagined that this series at the Box, be it senior day, weekend, whatever, at the Box, I don't think anyone imagined it turning out this way.
You're right. And I mean, we were two teams that, and LSU had won a couple series, but we were kind of trending in the wrong direction, really. We got almost fortunate to beat Bama on Friday night, and then we were fortunate to win 2 games against Georgia the week prior. And the starting pitching was just trending in the wrong direction, and Ole Miss was getting hot at the right time. And it was embarrassing. Just there's no other word for it. It was embarrassing. We've been playing Ole Miss for 100 years, over 100 years, and we've never been swept at home by Ole Miss. Think about that. I mean, since the early 1900s, we've been playing Ole Miss in baseball, and they've never been swept. It was an embarrassing effort. And Jay and the rest of the team, they should be embarrassed because they they ruined their chance to host. It's an outside chance for us to host now, and it sucks.
Yeah, and that does remind me. I think that pretty much seals the deal. And we've been talking. It is just kind of conjecture numbers based on previous years, but I think that kind of ends our bet, our out of the box bet about the polos.
It
So
definitely ends the bet.
we definitely and you know what I was really counting on is if LSU hosts a regional, there's going to be a Saturday night game at the box, and what better thing to do on a Saturday than to set up a tailgate and
Yeah.
go to a baseball game? So, all that to say, it could still happen. Very, very, very unlikely, especially given that we got to go on the road this weekend, where we are in all likelihood not going to sweep Vandy. But I guess we'll just kind of start breaking down the box scores of the weekend. 5-3 final from Alex Box Stadium on Friday night. LSU jumped out to an early lead. I mean, that's kind of what we've repetitively. I feel like I'm like repetitively saying this. I feel like we have a clip of me and we're just placing it in the podcast of me saying you have to get ahead early. And LSU did that. Came out swinging, 2 runs in the first inning, and you have to be ready, like we've said, for when Mikhail Hilliard is not on his game. He is not a pitcher that is going to be on his game every single night. He's consistent. He's the best starter we have, but he is going to struggle. Gives up 4 in the second inning, and it was all downhill from there. There wasn't a lot of action. I mean, whenever you get ahead early and then you don't score, you score 1 run in the next 8 innings. It's just kind of like I don't understand how you keep running out there when you can't generate runs, and when you can't generate runs, the fans aren't in it, and it just becomes kind of a dud of the night. Obviously, the game did kind of get stopped, and I think that kind of messed up the rhythm because of the rain. I was actually supposed to go to the game Friday night, but having to resume, come back with a different pitcher. Obviously, you're not going to run Mikhail back out there, to resume the game in the 3rd inning. But things just kind of never went our way. I heard Coach Jay Johnson say on the radio on his show on Monday night with Chris Blair, he genuinely felt that if Mikhail could have stayed in, gained his rhythm, maybe if the rain wouldn't have affected him, and if they would have continued to play that game, then it might have turned out differently.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, weird game with the balls, but then I think the only offense we had was it a Jordan Thompson home run? Was it for that game?
That sounds right. Let me double check.
But it was just, it's disappointing to lose that opener, a game that you really needed to win, and it was all downhill from there. Saturday and Sunday were very ugly.
It just stinks when your best shot of winning, and I think most LSU fans would agree, right? So LSU baseball's problem is obviously the errors. Obviously, the errors are the most glaring issue on this baseball team. But I think we could say that a close second is that our starting rotation is just it's there's no starting rotation. There's no rhythm. There's no consistency. Like we say, and like we've said before, the only consistency, and it's not always there, has been Mikhail Hilliard.
Yeah, like we said earlier, it's just the starting pitching was trending the opposite direction. I didn't feel good about the weekend. I texted y'all, I think when we got down Friday night, once we got down 4-2 and Mikhail gave up those 4 runs, I knew the series was over. I texted y'all, I said, this is it. We might not win a game. And I knew we wouldn't win the series at 4-2 in the second inning, but I didn't know if we'd get swept, but I felt pretty confident about that because we just trending in the wrong direction starting pitching wise. It's too hard to win in the SEC. Ole Miss was number 1 in the country at some point. They have talent, and it just Saturday was bad, Sunday was bad.
Well, yeah, I mean that's kind of what was my next thing. It's like, what better way to come out after you like we said, you resume the game Saturday morning. You wake up early. I think it started at 11. You play 6 more innings, and then you got to turn around and play another baseball game. A lot of the times, whenever you have to play, it was essentially a doubleheader, right? A lot of the times, if you lose a close one in the first game, it's either a blowout or it's going to be tight, right? And it was a blowout in the absolute worst kind of fashion. LSU lost by a score of 11-1, got out hit 12-5, had 3 errors on the day. This was a game that you had to just turn off. I mean, it's painful to watch a team. It's almost like we're not throwing it away, but I can't even think of the words to describe like the basic fundamentals of baseball. And I've said it before, and it's sad that I have to preface this. Fielding a ground ball is very hard. Catching a fly ball is very hard. Hitting a baseball is very hard. I understand that.
Catching a fly ball is not hard.
In some cases, it is. The one that was dropped was, from most people's perspective, probably wasn't the most difficult. But I just don't. What can you do? What can you do when you can't field and your pitching is very subpar? I mean, the only bright spot is our hitting, and we were only able to score 1 run. I mean, baseball runs together, right? If you're fielding well and you're making the plays and you have the confidence, that translates to the plate. And in the same way, when you're hitting the ball well, you're going to play better in the field. And neither can get on the same page. There's no rhythm, and it showed tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, it was horrendous. I mean, it's to have to watch that on Saturday. It's like you said, we didn't think the fielding was going to get better. Like you asked me 3 or 4 weeks ago if you thought it could get better, and I basically said no. It is what it is at this point. But we were hopeful that the starting pitching could get a little bit better, and it's actually gotten worse. So it is what it is right now. It's not, they're not in a good spot.
So you come out and this was kind of interesting. I believe this was Devin Fontenot's first start of the year. I feel like it's a bad sign when LSU comes out and has Devin Fontenot, who has been a great LSU pitcher. He's had a great career at LSU, but we've already tried him as a starter. It didn't work. It was a failed experiment. And when that is your go-to, when you have to go to your closer, who is a known closer, who that is his MO, you have to start the game with him because you don't have a Saturday guy. That just it's a recipe for disaster. I mean, I believe he went 1 in the 3rd, and then we had
he struggled this year. I mean, there's no
sure, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like he hasn't been put in a position really to save games and to do what a closer does, right? It's all about the rhythm in my eyes with him. But all that to say, it's like we had 6 guys come in and pitch. Part of that because the game was too far gone. You had Cooper, Taylor, Money actually came in and pitched 3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 runs. But when the score is 11-1, I guess you can use him to eat up some innings. I think that's where Money belongs at this point in his LSU career. He is a reliever. I don't think that's really up for debate. He's not the starter that we thought he was against Towson in Maine. Schaefer, Dirty 30 came in as well. It was just and I hate to say a comedy of errors because it's not funny. But it was incredibly tough to stay focused in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch the game, and I'm very happy that I didn't. But on the Sunday, I guess, and I was at a dance recital Sunday, John, from my little sister.
Yours?
I had Ole Miss fans sitting behind me. I was in Mississippi all weekend. It was a perfect weekend to get swept by Ole Miss for me. And we had a little bit of offense going, but just not enough. the relief pitching wasn't good. We walked too many guys this weekend, and one pitch for the starter Sunday, and people were mad about Jay Johnson. But he comes into games with plans. I mean, people can be mad about that, but like his plan was for him to throw one batter, and that's what he did. He stuck to it. It's worked for most of the year, but it's not. It's too hard to keep that up.
Yeah. Final score Sunday: Ole Miss 8, LSU 5. The hitting margin was a little bit tighter. Ole Miss leading LSU 11-9 in that category. Only one error, but whenever you get drubbed, you lose kind of a game that had to start and stop Friday night, Saturday morning. You come out, you get absolutely whomped. Saturday night, I don't think this came as much of a surprise. This was a series that it's crazy that if LSU plays this series back, which I hate saying this, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but if LSU plays this series back, do they do they sweep them? I mean that's how crazy this LSU team is. I've never seen a team. I maybe I have, but just the talent that this team has and the potential that they have, and it's disheartening, right? It's tough to watch, but all that to say, it's like you said, Luffy. I do think our chances of hosting are tough. I think we're going to end up. I know Southern Miss kind of fell, but we'll end up. I think kind of like Rory said, we're either going to be a 2 or a 3 seed. Hopefully not a regional out in California or whatever, but a 2 or 3 seed that you really don't want to face. But then again, you might if you catch our pitching staff on the right day or our middle infield.
Yeah, I mean, we'll clean up this weekend with Workbox LLC. If you need a dumpster, storage container, portable office, porta potty, luxury restroom rentals, you have to call Martine at Workbox. It's 225-343-4886. If you need a storage container, you're redoing your house, you need a dumpster. I see them all the time when I'm driving through neighborhoods. Call Martine at Workbox. They have the cleanest porta potties in the business, guaranteed. Call Martine at Workbox at 225-343-4886. John, last night, first of all, let's talk about the midweek games, everyone canceling their games, right? The RPI system is flawed because if you win the game against a lesser opponent, your RPI still falls. A&M, Ole Miss, BYU, TCU, all these teams, Virginia, pretty much everybody that has a chance to host in a regional or is on the bubble of hosting a regional cancel their midweek games. Like, why even schedule them? Why put them on the schedule? People won't do that in the future. It's a flawed system that RPI is too heavily relied on, in my opinion, as far as postseason placement. But I'm glad that LSU did not cancel theirs.
No, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, I mean, this is like the age-old debate, over the past 5 years of LSU baseball. Do midweek games matter? One, they help you to stay focused during the week instead of just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right, let's just wear baseball out and then we'll pack it up. We'll try again next weekend. They let you focus on the things that you need to fix, which if LSU was in a better position, had the right tools to I guess improve, then you say for example, you have Josh Smith, who has been on the show, good friend of the show, awesome guy. Say you have him going out there and he's missing 2 or 3 balls through his legs. You throw him out in the midweek game, right? And that's where he cleans it up. That's where you work on things like that. And he did that. He had a period where he was. I mean, ground balls were going through his legs. They were taking bad hops, and he just wasn't able to make the play. I mean, players go through stages like that all the time. And anyway, all that to say, it's like midweek games. I think they're necessary. I really do. I think it also allows midweeks or in-state schools to come in. It's a money opportunity, and it allows them to get to play in Alex Box Stadium in front of generally a midweek game is not as packed, but people show out for LSU midweek games.
And look, and Jay said it to me. He said, I don't think Skip would want us to cancel a game, and that's exactly right. And he also said, when they're looking at our resume, if they're not too heavily reliant on RPI, which they shouldn't be, you look at non-conference. We're 20-5 non-conference this year. That's pretty good, right? Like, if we just had a slightly better conference record, we're probably sitting here having a different discussion. And we win the game last night. Another problem with midweek games, so many pictures are used, especially when we're smoking a team like last night. I don't even know, when did they call the game? It was probably
19 to 7. It was the final score, but yes, it was like the third inning, and it was like 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, I know the sixth inning, it was like close to 10 o'clock. It was 3.5 hours in. The games take forever. Like, that's just part of midweek games. It's so long. I mean, that game would have lasted probably 5.5 hours last night if it wasn't called. But, at least we didn't lose. The pitching still kind of struggled a little bit last night. Gave up some big hits. But I do think it was important for us to play that game and get a little hitting confidence back. Milazzo did play, had a single. So maybe we'll see him this weekend. But do you want to talk about DraftKings, which I've been placing my bets on today, before we talk about our postseason chances?
Yes, I will be placing a lot of bets with DraftKings next week when I'm sitting on my butt. Baseball fans, it's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. New customers can bet just $5 on any team and get $200 in free bets if they do. DraftKings, if DraftKings is not available in your state, don't worry. You can play free for thousands of prizes with your first deposit. DraftKings Fantasy Baseball. Pick a lineup of 2 pitchers and 8 batters will stand under the salary cap and rack up points for hits, runs, strikeouts, and more. It's awesome. DraftKings is the only sports betting app that I use, no lie. Only sports betting app that I've used thus far. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code BOOT, BOOT, bet just $5 and win $200 in free bets if your team wins their game. That's promo code BOOT at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. 21 plus, restrictions apply. MLB trademarks used with permission. See show notes for details. All right. Another one of our favorite type of series, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series up in Vandy. 2 teams that are not themselves this year, I'd say. Two generally top tier SEC teams. Vandy is kind of trending up, as you had said, Luffy. I'm going to ask a question, and I don't even know which way I would go with it, and I don't know the answer. But I mean, does LSU need to do anything up in Vandy at this point? Like, have we already kind of we were on the verge of being able to at least host a regional, right? Now we're kind of looking at 2, maybe 3 seed. I mean, if LSU goes up there and gets swept, obviously that's not good. But what does LSU need to do as far as their postseason rankings go?
Needs to win a game, I think, to get in the postseason, because if you lose those 3, you're in the single elimination bracket now for the SEC tournament. You lose that first game, our RPI is like around 50-something probably at that point, and you might not get in. You probably do. You might not, but I think you probably do. Would definitely like to win a game to get. If you win a game, you're at 15-15 in SEC play. We're 14-13 now. To host, we're talking about hosting again. You probably need to sweep and then go on a run, win probably 3 or 4 games in the SEC tournament. Unlikely without much starting pitching, but you'd like to win the series. You'd like to win the series this weekend against Vandy.
Dude, it stinks is like my dad watches LSU baseball here and there, and he listens to the podcast and all that, and he was like, he's at the point where he's almost given up, right? He was I had to laugh. He said, why are y'all still like holding out hope that LSU is going to host a regional or not? You're just prolonging the inevitable with this team. And obviously that's that, do I think LSU is going to make a big run, sweep Vandy, win the SEC tournament, host a regional, make it through a super, and be one of the top 8 teams in Omaha and eventually win it? No, I do not. But I do think, and there will be takes. There will be takes about Jay Johnson after this year, like there always is. But regardless of how LSU performs this year, I think it could have been worse. It obviously could have been better, but I think Jay Johnson is on the right track. He's got to get his guys in there. He's got to he's got to plant his roots at LSU, right? It's just like what Brian Kelly and I mean, hell, Matt McMahon's got the hardest planting roots out of all 3 of the coaches, right? But Jay Johnson picked up a team, or I won't say picked up, but I'll say inherited a team that was on the decline, right? Towards the end of Maneri's career, we'll call a spade here. Things were kind of headed downward, and that's why Maneri decided to retire.
Look, John, I mean, and to that point there, I think that I brought the setup before the season that we were 500 in the last 3 years in SEC play. Not good. It's just not good, So it's not like we were. I mean, we made it to some supers. We made it. We've done well at the end of the year, but 500 in SEC play, like you're saying, it is what it is. You know that you don't have the type of team that could have a chance to win it all, and they were in a good spot. Like, I don't think that Maneri would have retired had he thought this team was capable of going to Omaha. And like, Jay's done a pretty good job of bringing some relief pitchers in, and we've probably should have won some games that we haven't won, but I think we're going to be really good. We signed the number 1 class last year, and we're going to sign a top 3 class this year. We got to get those guys on campus, but if they do, you got to give Jay. I think you give him, next year, then the year after that, the 3rd year will really be telling.
Yeah, I just know, like, look, I know people are gonna have the take like, oh my God, you brought in this guy. He was the national coach of the year. He brought Arizona to Omaha and whatnot. We got to be patient. I think you're exactly right. I think the 3rd year, it's just like bringing in a new staff. I mean, you bring in these West Coast guys who have never been over here. Maybe it was the humidity. Maybe that he just wasn't used to the humidity this year. Maybe Riley Cooper and Barry are not used to. Maybe they're not used to the humidity. So I guess we'll figure that out. But all that to say, I just want to see some good baseball. I will always enjoy watching LSU baseball.
And another thing that sucks, John, is it's like this is the end of the sports year. We got NBA, we have NHL left, and we have college baseball. And like, it sucks when LSU's out of it because I like college baseball a lot, but when LSU's out of it, my interest is at 10. It drops to like,
Sure. No, yeah. I mean, if you can get me, I think Omaha goes to the end of June.
And I need that sports in my life for as long as possible to get me to football season, because MLB regular season, let's face it, doesn't make me excited. Postseason I love, but can't get up for regular season MLB games, and it's sad when LSU is out of it, and because then I know that's like the end of my summer, and like at that point I'm just like dying for football season. I need fall camp to start.
Yes, and I feel like a lot of people feel the exact same way. Yeah, I mean, to comment on the MLB regular season, I mean, I was actually, to be honest with you, I was more stoked about the MLB regular season than any other year um, of my life. I bought the MLB package. My team is the Stros. I did buy the MLB package. It was I think it was like $150. You could do the monthly plan, which was like 25 a month, or you could do the whole year, which was like 150. Well, if the baseball season's 6-8 months or whatever, well, you save like $20 if you buy the whole year. So I bought the whole year thinking, yeah, I'll be able to watch every game and I'll be able to watch the Astros. Nope, they're blacked out on the MLB app. So I'm right there with you, Lovey. I'm not as excited about the MLB baseball season now, but you know what I am excited about? Heading over to the House Bar in Tigerland. Make sure to get on over to the House Bar in Tigerland. I think they're over with. Finals are over with.
Yep, that's right.
Sweet, sweet summertime. You're going to be driving down the interstate. There's going to be notebooks, textbooks, pencils on the side of the road. Everybody's done with school. Nobody cares anymore. Where else would you want to go other than the House Bar in Tigerland? Best drinks, best pizza, best events at the House Bar. Our boys, Jeff and Casey over there, treat us right, and they will treat you right as well. Make sure to follow the House Bar in Tigerland on Twitter at Tigerland House, and on Facebook and Instagram at House in Tigerland, and on houseintigerland.com. All right. We are going to suspend the House Always Wins segment this week.
I'm tweeting my pick out right now as we speak, John.
Yes.
One last news before we go. Jarvis Juice Landry is a New Orleans Saint.
Forgot it.
One of my favorite Tigers ever. Tough, nasty, great hands, teammate. We basically got him for free. Only $3 million hit on the salary cap for this year. We have Juice. We have Honey Badger. Darrell Williams was in New Orleans today. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. It's nice to see. One thing about Sean Payton, kind of confirmed now that he didn't really want that many LSU players on the team. We got a couple this year, and I'm fired up because Juice and Honey Badger are not only like great players, but they're great teammates and great leaders.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't really say it any better. It is awesome having LSU players to root for, and the what is it, week 7 when the Bengals come to town? Is that what did I read that right? Or no, that's not right. Are you looking?
No.
Oh, I don't know. Either way, whatever date that is. Whenever the Bengals come to town, it's going to be an LSU reunion. So shout out to the House Bar in Tigerland, Workbox LLC, Blaine Loop with Keller Williams Realty. Also want you to know Keller Williams is an equal opportunity housing partner. Each office independently owned and operated. Boot Crew Media Network and DraftKings. I will be out next week, Luffy. I don't know if you know that.
I know.
I'm taking a red shirt. I'm taking some medical leave. So I will do my best to return the following week. I think you and Rory had talked about last week. Rory's going to be back next week. And I think y'all might have a surprise guest host on next week's show if he's not at the golf course or not drinking beer somewhere.
Yes, sir.